Fantastic. Keep up the great work. Awesome. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to ask the next question. We want to say, who is experiencing the challenge? So we've looked at the challenge. We now need to say, who is experiencing the challenge? So let's have a look at the different types of roles that people fill at organizations, right? So we first of all obviously have the decision makers. Now remember, this whole deck, the purpose of your second tier sales deck is directed at those decision makers. So it's a very practical brass tacks return on investment type of sales deck which speaks to decision makers. But we must remember that it's not just decision makers who make the decision. Yes, they make the final decision, but there's also influencers. So you need to know, for example, whenever I'm trying to sell my sales enablement solutions, I've got to realize that there's a financial director who wants to know, okay, well, are we going to be getting a return on investment? There's the CEO, the managing director, or we also then have possibly the sales or marketing director involved. And there can also be influencers, like for example the sales leadership. They may have an influence. So they may not be involved in making the final direct decision, but they certainly, or their input is going to influence the decision. So when I'm building the sales deck, I need to understand who am I talking to, who is in, or in other words, who am I including in my multi-channel communication strategy? What information am I sending to influencers? What information am I sending to decision makers? So I need to know all the roles, who are all the people, and what specific, tailored, personalized information do I need to create to send to those people. Let's not forget about those gatekeepers, right? Remember, gatekeepers are the people that have been trained to make sure that their superiors or their bosses don't get irritated by unnecessary interruptions from salespeople. But they are willing to have somebody see their leadership or see their boss who's got some valuable information, who's got something to add. In other words, they're going to reduce costs. They're going to help them to improve their bottom line. There's some benefit to the organization. Gatekeepers. What are you going to do? What is your message to gatekeepers? Next, we have to look at users. Remember, the users of your product are so influential. In fact, they are so influential that we've got a whole sales deck. So the next sales deck that we're going to be talking about is a sales deck designed specifically for users. Users want you to demonstrate. They work with the stuff every single day. They want you to come on site and they want you to show them. They want you to understand these are the real challenges that we experience every day. In other words, the unoptimized, or should I rather say, the undesirable state. So they're in an undesirable state, there's challenges. You need to show them, demonstrate to them how your product or service will optimize their day, will make them more efficient, more effective. Next, depending on your industry, there may very well be engineers involved. What message, and you need to be very careful when it comes to engineers. They're normally very technical people, so they love data, they love information, but you don't want to overwhelm them with the wrong information. You want to make sure they also don't have buckets of time to waste. So you need to understand what are the challenges, what is the right information, and what is the right medium to deliver that message to engineers, etc. And then obviously there's other technical people who also might have a role. There's people that might just have a buying role. So, for example, they're just the person who pulls the trigger later. Maybe you need to have a message for them as well. So think about your industry, think about your markets. What is it that you're going to do that is going to support each level? So from a decision maker, influencers, engineers, technical people, gatekeepers, etc. Think about all the different roles, and then based on those different roles, what is the message? What is the sales content? What is the medium? What is the best medium? Is it the telephone? Is it face-to-face meetings? Is it telephone, face-to-face meetings combined with social selling, emails, WhatsApp groups? So you've got to really think about your market, your industry, your customers. Because remember, what makes a multi-channel communication strategy work? Customization, tailoring, specialization. And that is what you need to work on, is what who are the roles and what is the message that I need to supply to each one to support me to, with my existing customers, make sure that they have an incredible experience with our organization and with our future companies to create awareness, engage, and move them, or should I rather say, move them to increase the velocity of each deal through our sales pipeline.